Hello and welcome. I'm Carol DeChaine, your intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters and Marconics multidimensional energy practitioner. Today I'm talking about letting go of holiday stress. And sometimes we feel like we have to get the perfect gifts, we have to do everything, including getting the place ready, getting the decorations up, getting the food done, and we stress out about being good enough. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. And there's also being alone and having nobody. There's lots of different times why we get depressed or we get stressed out at the holidays. So let's start with trying to be perfect. You want to be perfect. You're the place where everybody comes, and you want everything to look perfect. Do you try and do it all by yourself, or do you enlist help? Now, realizing that sometimes people are less than helpful when you ask for their help. They may whine or complain, they may not get into the spirit, but hopefully you can turn on some holiday music, sing while you're doing it. If whether you do it by yourself and you turn on holiday music and sing as you kind of dance around while you're decorating or making cookies or watching Christmas shows. I know that most of the time that Hallmark shows, I know that there's a channel for most of the United States, because the Hallmark channel, I'm sure, and probably other countries, they have Christmas 24/7, starting usually in October. So if you can turn those on, if you haven't seen them 20 times, and there is so much you can do to lighten yourself while you're trying to decorate your house, while you're trying to bake or cook or do whatever you're doing. And enlisting help, of course, is great as long as you have the right attitude on the people that you're asking. Or you can shift their attitude by having them do just a few things. So there are a number of ways that you can lighten up the stress. And like I said, it includes putting Christmas music on when you're decorating, dancing around, maybe singing, getting other people to help you. But then there's always trying to find the perfect gift for people. And so many times now people just get gift cards and it's such a cop out. And I know sometimes that's what people want, or you get a list together. And I mean, from the time I was a child, my mother goes, "What's your list? Put together your list. I don't know what you want." And I look at them going, sometimes I knew what I wanted, sometimes I didn't. I wanted a Barbie dream house when I was some age or other. I wanted Ken, I wanted Skipper or Scooter, I wanted a little Kittle. It was easy when I was younger to know because I saw the advertisements and ooh, I want this and ooh, I want that. And then there's other things where you go, I don't know. What do I need now that I'm an adult? I don't need a whole heck of a lot anymore. Sometimes there's a certain book maybe I want, or certain something that I'll tell my best friend goes, "What do you want?" And it's like, well, let's just do things together. But we're far apart, so it's hard to do that. We no longer give each other birthday gifts because we try and see each other and celebrate together that way, which is so much better. And just to have the memories that instead of going ahead and trying to figure out how to buy something again for somebody that we don't know. And I have another friend who we just get very inexpensive things, a few dollars each. Sometimes I'll go to the dollar store, find some really cool stuff that's just weird and give it to her. Or if I'm out and I'm vacationing, I buy things then. So I have a drawer with sometimes people's names on it, sometimes not, that has all kinds of stuff in it. Things that are like, oh, this is for this person, that's their name. And other times I have maybe 5 girlfriends I used to buy presents for, and I buy 5 of everything, including my sister. So then I would have, here's 5. Great. This is, and I'd open everything up when it was time for Christmas and figure out who I had stuff for and put them in different piles. And then I would figure out who I still had to buy stuff for because I didn't have enough or I had nothing for one person. And it's like, oh, okay, nothing for dad as usual, nothing for the men. It's always hard to get men for me. It's like, all right, what do I get now? So that's a really fun thing to do. If you buy a little bits here and there throughout the year, stick it in a drawer or somewhere that you have all those extra gifts. You don't know who you're going to buy them, either who you're going to give them to, or just they're waiting for the proper time to give. Then you don't have to do last minute as much. If you pull them out and you look and you separate them, and I used to put them in different bags with the name of the person on them and close everything back up and stick it back in the drawer with the notes of who I still had to buy for. Because I love going to craft fairs and also selling at craft fairs. So I'd be there, so I'd have those people in mind when I would go running out to figure out, okay, I'm in the middle of my craft show, I'm selling, but there's a lull. Let me go see if there's anybody I can buy stuff for that's here. Or maybe before we open, I'll look around and go, ooh, this will be perfect for my friend. Ooh, I like that one. And so I would go ahead and go, okay, okay, I know what I'm going to buy. Only you know the best way for the gift thing to happen. Sometimes it's great not to have to get a lot of gifts. Some people, their families, they have little kids, everybody buys something for the little kids. They don't buy anything for the adults, or they have a secret Santa for the adults and you only get one gift. Besides, like if you have a spouse, you get it from your spouse. But if you're having a get together, then you open the one gift from Secret Santa, and that's all you do. And as the kids get older, they get fewer gifts because they get their own in their family, but they also, maybe when everybody gets together, they also are just get a secret Santa gift from one adult. So you pick two names, one of the adults and one of the children, depending how many children there are. And that way the kids only get 2 or 3 gifts instead of like 20. There's a lot of people there. But there's so many different ways for gifts that you can have fun with it. And maybe even having when I was a kid, I know that every once in a while I would give them coupons that I make out. And this is my coupon for good for one drying the dishes. And I did that anyway, but that way they would have to redeem them. And then that means they didn't have to give me my allowance for that one thing that I did. So, because we always had allowances. And hopefully people still do that without, assuming that they do the chores they're supposed to do. And I had specific chores that my mother trusted me with and not other ones. So I only learned how to dust, I learned how to dry dishes, and I learned how to iron easy flat things. Those were my chores. I never learned how to use a washer dryer until I moved out. I never learned how to wash dishes properly because I always left them dirty, and so she got mad at me. So I was always relegated back to the dryer, and I never got to iron my father's shirts or any of the other bigger, more important things because she was afraid I'd ruin them. And I never vacuumed because I was so small and lightweight that I couldn't push it very well because we had a heavy vacuum. So where do you go when it comes to giving gifts with money, getting back to that? Or how do you handle that? How can you handle that to make it easier for you? Maybe give fewer gifts. Or I have some friends that we've decided we're not giving birthday gifts anymore and only one Christmas present. Or sometimes it's fun, like I said, with the one I do a lot of dollar store kind of items and things that aren't that expensive. And one maybe a little nicer. But look at that and see how you can de-stress that. And now there's another stress which has to come with all the relatives. If you're going to a relative place and you don't like them and you're that's stressed out because you have to go and see these people that you don't like. Maybe all your in-laws don't like you, and you're going to there, especially if you're new and they don't really know you that well, or they're impossible and they're difficult to be around for whatever reason, and you're totally stressed because you have to go. Take a breath. And if you're happy in your marriage and it's that, think about how happy you are that you have the person and that you're just doing this for them. It's okay. I'm going for them. I will just get through it. I'll have a drink if I need to get through it, or I'll do whatever I need and I'll just be calm because what they do and say doesn't affect me the rest of the year. It's just getting together. And maybe it's just Great Aunt Gertrude who bothers you, or Uncle Fester, Uncle somebody that you go, eh, yeah, they're bothersome because they always talk about their complaints with their health or their whatever, and you don't want to be around them. So find ways to de-stress yourself when you know you don't have to get caught talking to them. You can all of a sudden go, "Oh, I'm so sorry to bother you, but or to interrupt, but I really need to go to the bathroom." That's always a good excuse. Or I need to go help in the kitchen. Or if you have a child, I need to go check on Kenny or Susie or whoever it might be. Make sure that you have your excuses lined up so that if you get caught and hooked in, like you might always be, by a specific relative, you have a way to get out of it. If they're complaining, if they're whining, if they're dressing you down, saying you're not good enough, or if it's your family and they're saying, why aren't you married yet? Or whatever else is going on, or looking down on the kind of job that you have, or whatever it may be, think your way through it. Figure out how you're going to get through it ahead of time. And then calmly go and know that you can do it. You have that power to respond any way you want. You don't have to be stressed as long as you think about it in advance and find a way that you know you want to work through it. And if you don't react the way you want to and you still get stressed out once you're there, no, just take a few breaths, maybe escape to the bathroom or to outside so that you can recoup, take a sugar cookie or something, breathe, and go, all right, this isn't the way I planned it. But you'll get better at those things. You just sometimes need practice to be able to respond to people in a way that is good for you rather than in a way that's just a gut reaction, instant respond because they push a button of yours. Now, I do want to get, before I close off, to the people who are alone, the people that have nowhere to go. No one sends them cards or flowers or gifts. They feel like it's the worst time of year for them. And they get either depressed, maybe even clinically depressed, or else they get just feel like no one loves them. And some people enjoy being alone. They like not being having to deal with it because maybe they've dealt with it for years and they're done and they like it. So I'm not necessarily talking to you right now. I'm talking to the people who don't like it, the ones who feel alone, who have a horrible time being alone. And let me tell you, there are places on the internet you can go if you don't like being alone at Christmas. You can look it up, you can find meetup groups, you can find all sorts of people that you can see that are, look up Orphan Christmas, Orphan Thanksgiving, and see if there are people that get together, that they volunteer. And sometimes there's a friend. We had friends who would do that for people. And I know that when she was still living, obviously, when she was still living, she and her partner would have, that's what they'd always have. And sometimes couples would come, but usually it was always people, friends and family who were really pretty much alone. They didn't have anywhere else to go. And I always appreciated that because I loved them for their generosity of spirit, for knowing that there were people out there that didn't have anywhere to go. And for years, I went to see them before I was married. And even after I was married, Julio and I would go there. And they're such a lovely, wonderful place to be and to feel welcome. And I have to say that that was something that I appreciated. And you can find that too if you want to. If you aren't too depressed, where you go, I'm going to do something about this. If you're into the I'm going to do something about this, no, you can, even if you don't have the energy, even if you don't, if you're too sad. No, you can make those changes and find those people that will be happy to have you there. They won't even know you. And you just have to get to know people one on one by one. When you're at a party, if you don't feel comfortable, talk to somebody. Say, "Oh, how come you're here? Are you alone too? Oh, well, what happened? Who were you?" And tell me something about yourself. Because that way you can get to know someone. And then you might make friends from that. You might end up getting together every single year. I know somebody else who put out there that she was having an orphan Christmas because she was basically had nowhere to go and nobody to see in her near vicinity. And so she had a bunch of friends that would come every year. And there was someone else that she knew that would do it monthly so that they could get to know each other. And then they also did it at Thanksgiving and Christmas. So you have choices. You, even if you're alone, you have things that you can do to make the holiday more of a holiday for you, to make it more stress-free, more of a fun place to be, something that shows the love instead of the fear or the worry or the upset or the, oh my God, what if I don't get this right? If you have a lot of people out there depending on you. Just know, of course, meditation is a great way to calm down and to release any kind of fears or any kind of depression that's not clinical. Just know that you can do what you need to for yourself. You have so much power within you, so much power of choice, of the way you react, of who you are, and how you talk to people, and how you can take each thing you do and find joy in it. But that's up to you to do. But you can if you will. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. It's coming up in a few days. And I hope that you find that joy in the holiday season that you deserve. Until next time, do know that you are already enough to have a joyful, limitless life that you desire.